Hi guys, it's Miss Dana here with another cooking video. Today we're going to make kale quesadillas. The recipe that you'll find attached to the video is actually Swiss chard quesadillas, but you can interchange the two. Just like in our cheesy greens and eggs recipe, you can use any kind of cooking green you want. If you don't have Swiss chard, you could use kale, collard greens, spinach, mustard, any kind of cooking green. I added mushrooms to mine because I had some mushrooms. If you have some bell peppers or onions or some leftover chicken that's already cooked, you can add whatever you want into the quesadilla. Right? The main thing a quesadilla has is 2 tortillas and cheese. As far as that goes, the sky's the limit to what you want to put inside your quesadilla. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoy this video and I hope you learned some and give it a try. So here is a map showing a few different foods and where they come from in the world. And I'm showing you this one in particular since we did just celebrate Cinco de Mayo and we're making quesadillas, which come from Mexico. This map shows us avocados, cilantro, and chili peppers. We can see that avocados came from central Mexico, that's the yellow country, and cilantro came from Spain, was brought over to Mexico by Spanish in the 1500s. And we can see that chili peppers originated in Bolivia, that's the purple country in the middle of South America. Chili peppers, there are over 25 different species, and the most common ones in the US are jalapenos, serranos, and poblanos. India, there's a line from Bolivia to India because Dutch traders brought peppers to India way back in the day. And India is one of the biggest producers and consumers of chili peppers in the world today. So there you have it, a little food history of where our food comes from. All of our food, whether it's a plant-based or animal-based, can be traced back to a certain region in the world from where it originated and was first found in the wild. Since then, humans have bred and domesticated plants and animals to suit our needs. We've also moved them from one place to another place, and today food is found all over the world, even though it may have originated in a very specific location. Now let's get on to our recipe. Okay, so I'm preparing my ingredients. I need some cooking greens, some cheese, whatever kind of cheese you have will work. I'm going to use some string cheese and cheddar cheese. I also added mushrooms and garlic. So I'm going to use corn tortillas for my quesadillas because I don't have flour tortillas. So here on this map, we can see that corn was native to the Southwest and to Mexico, so pretty close by. Corn originally was much smaller than it is today, so you can see that in this photo, but over the years it's been bred to be much larger and sweeter. Today, corn is grown for livestock fodder, also for fuel, and then of course for food. Corn tortillas often have lime added to them, and the lime acts as a softener to soften the corn, and the lime also helps make the nutrients in the corn more available to us. I love corn tortillas and I eat them almost every day. This is a picture of a cornfield, and corn is grown in big fields like this known as monocultures, mono meaning one, where there's only one variety of crop grown. So all you see is corn. And corn needs to be grown in plots like this because it's pollinated by wind. But this is also easier for harvesting. So when corn is grown in this way, it's grown using big machines that help plant all the seeds and harvest it. So in our school gardens, we have polycultures. And polycultures, poly means many. So for example, in this garden box, we have many different fruits and vegetables planted all together. And that's, for me and for I think you guys, is a much funner way to plant a garden. So back to our cooking recipe. The first thing I'm going to do is peel my garlic, and I'm going to finely mince it into tiny, tiny pieces. Remember to be really careful and always use your knife safety rules when using a knife. Then I'm going to chop up my mushrooms because I'm going to add those to my quesadilla. Those are the first things that I'm going to be cooking as well. So I'm rinsing my kale, shake that off. So kale, let's look and see where kale is native to. Kale is native to the Mediterranean and Asia Minor. And I'm just gonna rip it up with my fingers, right? Why do I even need to use a knife? Okay, so you can always rip up your greens if you want to, okay? For this batch, I did decide just to chop it because it was a little bit faster for me. With my string cheese, I can also just rip that up with my fingers. And my cheddar cheese, I'm just gonna chop kind of into long matchsticks. All right, I didn't want to use a cheese grater because then I had to wash it. So, we all know that cows produce milk, and that's how we make cheese. So let's look and see where cows are native to. Cows are native to pretty much every continent except for the Americas, Australia, and New Zealand. And were first domesticated between 9,000 and 10,000 years ago, so a really long time ago. And they were believed to be first domesticated in western Iran, which is also close to the region where we first started agriculture. I'm getting out my lard to use as my oil. Turn my stove on. The oil will keep things from sticking to the pan. And the first things I'm going to cook are the mushrooms and the garlic. You always want to pre-cook your quesadilla ingredients because when you actually make the quesadilla, you're really only heating them up enough to melt the cheese. So I'm going to throw in my kale. Now the mushrooms and garlic have begun to cook. I always like to put a lid on my greens. It helps them steam and cook a little faster. So I'm just lightly cooking these. And I'm going to throw them on a plate, the same plate that I'm going to be eating off of. And now I can prepare my quesadilla. So I'm going to add my cheese, nice and evenly spaced throughout on top of my corn tortilla. Remember, you can also use flour tortillas if that's what you have. And then I'm going to add my ingredients. Also, remember, you can use any ingredients you'd like. Alright, so I have my pan on medium heat, and I like again to put the lid on top as I'm cooking it so that it just helps it steam and cook more evenly. So while my first quesadilla is cooking, I can start preparing my next one. And about at that time, then I'm going to flip it. Right? And you don't really need a lot of oil to cook a quesadilla. I just use the residual. And I'm cleaning up in between, right? So it's always good to clean as you go. And I think this one looks ready. Flip it to make sure, and I'm gonna, I decided I wanted some hot sauce in mine just to give it a little extra bite. Okay, so now that we have our first quesadilla done, let's do some fractions. So my one quesadilla is equal to one whole. If I cut my quesadilla into halves, how many pieces will I have? I wind up with 2 halves. So 2 halves is equal to 1 whole. They're equivalent fractions. So if I cut one of my halves into halves, I wind up with 2 quarters. These are equivalent fractions. 1 half is equal to 2 quarters. Now I have 4 quarters. 4 quarters is equal to a whole. I decided I wanted some toppings on my quesadillas, so I grabbed some cilantro and lettuce. You can always add fresh veggies on top, like tomatoes, avocado, or sour cream or cheese. Okay, so last equivalent fraction. How many pieces do I have?
I have 8 pieces that are cut into quarters. So I have 8 quarters. 8 quarters is equal to 2 bowls. All right, now I'm going to add my toppings, add some salsa on top, and enjoy.
All right, I'm going to taste my kale and mushroom quesadillas. Let's see how they taste. Remember, I'm going to be a brave taster. I'm going to take 2 bites. Mmm. Delicious, especially with the hot sauce. Mmm. And the 2 different types of cheese. Really good. Ready for my second bite. Mmm. Let me taste it with some of the lettuce and the cilantro. Mmm. That's the best. It makes it extra fresh. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. If I had 2 hands, right? Not a plate in my hand. Hope you guys enjoyed that video and hope you're eating your fruits and veggies. See you next time.